We are in the state capital of Illinois today with the ARCA Menards series. It's the Illinois Truck and Equipment Allen Crow 100, the final round of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown. And it is a tad bit chilly and plenty blustery today at the Springfield Mile. And did you hear that? The Springfield Mile. Take a look at that. We are on the dirt today here with the ARCA Menards series, and we are excited to be here. Hello, everybody. I am Bob Dillner, and for the 38th time in ARCA Menards series history, we are running here at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. Plenty of legendary races, and we have a tough points battle right now for the championship in the ARCA Menards series. Jim Trado is my buddy in the booth, and Jim, this one is coming down to the wire with 2 races to go.
And at a dirt track of all places to help decide what those 2 points really mean. It's 2 positions on the racetrack, Bob. This dirt track, however, will throw a whole new challenge to these teams. There's some dirt track ringers in this race. There's also Brett Holmes, who has dirt experience, and Michael Self, who's won here just 1 year ago on the dirt. So when Self and Holmes attack this racetrack, I think they may be confident but cautious here today. Just 2 points, 2 positions separate our point leaders heading into this race today.
And ironically, Brett Holmes and Michael Self will line up on the second row for today's race here at the Springfield Mile. Let's take a look at the battle that has been in 2020 between these two. Brett Holmes riding a consistent streak right now of 15 straight top 8 finishes. But I think, Jim, if you take a look at their finishes from this year, they've gone toe-to-toe, but there are a couple of key finishes that have defined this points title.
Yeah, we've highlighted some of the highs and lows in the yellow, as these are the finish order of every race. 7 times these drivers finished within 1 position of each other. When it comes to later in the season, when you really want to bank those points, Michael Self won at the road course in Daytona. Unfortunately, the next race, Michael Self already had his worst finish at Worldwide Technology at Gateway. So when it gets down to it, 1 position on the track, 1 lap led, that could be the difference here in the championship.
You mentioned that win for Michael Self. He won 2 times at Daytona this year, 1 on the big track and 1 on the road course. The win for Brett Holmes came at Kansas. But right now, that 1 more top 5 finish that Brett Holmes has is getting him ahead in the standings over Michael Self. Let's go to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Dave Reef, who wants to get his point across in terms of this championship battle.
Well, Brett Holmes better not check his rearview mirror. If he is, he'll see a big green dinosaur. That's just how close this race is. Michael Self's pit, Brett Holmes' pit, and what's turned into a battle for the ages. It's really a high-speed chess match, because if you think about it, there's those points that are out there for leading a lap, leading the most laps, difference in finishing position, and that's how we've got to this point. What's my point? My point is that every point matters, and these guys both know it. In fact, with 18 races down and just 2 to go, both believe, though, they can make enough points to be champion by year's end.
Well, I think it's just a lot about people, and you know, we've worked really hard for this, worked harder than anybody, I feel like, and without the support that a lot of teams get, and that just shows, you know, the quality of you know, how much we've worked and the time and effort we've put towards it. We think about this day and night, and you know, that's nothing we want more than to win the championship.
You know, these guys haven't given up. We've had a little bit of a frustrating year, especially throughout the middle of the season here. Haven't been where we want from a car standpoint with our balance and everything, but the Venturini Motorsports guys have been working day and night trying to figure out what's going on. You know, we made good progress at Winchester and at Bristol. We're able to get back into the top 5 and compete up there. Springfield, I was able to pick up a win here last year. This has been a really cool track. It's fun to come race on the dirt, and I've been able to win at Kansas in the past. So 2 tracks that I've got victories at, there's no reason we can't go do it again.
Springfield is a fun place, and Dave Reef and I were talking earlier about how when you come here, this place just oozes history. This racetrack, more than 100 years old. ARC has been coming here since 1983, but they've been running stock cars at this place since 1966.
Which is forever, because when you look at this racetrack, it hasn't changed at all. The track surface is going to be the key here. The shape, very symmetrical. It's a little bit more rounded than DuQuoin, another track that the ARCA Series has gone on year after year and raced on here in Illinois. But this track itself, Bob, the surface will be the key. How to get off of turn number 2, and of course the drivers will tell you, I need to get off of turn 4, because the next thing I'll see is the checkered flag.
A good field of race cars here. Ryan Unzicker, the dirt track ringer that you mentioned, Jim Trado, with the General Tire Pole Award today. But there are plenty of people that are looking to take him down today. The engines have fired. There is Michael Self, 2 points back in the championship hunt, as well as Brett Holmes, who will come out on top today. The ARCA Menards series on the dirt of the Springfield Mile. And earlier today in General Tire pole qualifying, it was Ryan Unzicker setting fast time.
It was an early lap and a fast one. He went out second, and man, his time stood up. Matter of fact, it might be the largest margin we've seen in General Tire pole qualifying in all of 2020. Nearly half a second faster than the field.
It's incredible how quick Ryan Unzicker was. He's in that blue number 24 on the inside of the front row. Here is the starting lineup for today's 100-lap race. Unzicker and Ty Gibbs, who was disappointed in his qualifying run, on the front row.
He's only raced on dirt once. It was here last year, but the kid wants to win everything, right? That's what we're focusing on today, folks. Who's in row 2? Our championship point contenders. Brett Holmes qualifies 3rd. Michael Self, 1/1000th behind him at 4.
Our Bounty Rookie Challenge leader, Haley Deegan, she has some dirt track experience in her career. She will start 5th with Kelly Kovsky alongside another one of those dirt track ringers.
Yeah, we'll throw Will Kimmel in there, man. He was fastest in practice. Corey Heim back behind the wheel, the number 20. Last year, 2 championship point contenders. Brett Holmes qualifies 3rd. Michael Self, 1/1000th behind him at 4.
Our Bounty Rookie Challenge leader, Haley Deegan, she has some dirt track experience in her career. She will start 5th with Kelly Kovsky alongside another one of those dirt track ringers.
Yeah, we'll throw Will Kimmel in there, man. He was fastest in practice. Corey Heim back behind the wheel, the number 20. Last year, 2 top 10 finishes in his first ever dirt races in ARCA. He'll start 8th.
Taylor Gray, first time on a dirt track in a stock car. He usually wheels some outlaw carts at Millbridge Speedway in North Carolina. And Drew Dollar hasn't been on a dirt track since his Legend car days.
Look at the rest of this field. Tim Monroe got some dirt time here in a modified in his home state of Illinois. He'll start 13th, and Andy Hillenberg's number 11.
Wayne Peterson rounds out the field today for this Allen Crow 100. And you can just sense the history when you come in here to the Springfield Mile. So many different stories that can be told, including Frank Kimmel, who has won here more than anybody, 8 times overall in ARCA competition. Here's the General Tire onboard camera for our ARCA Menards Series point leader, Brett Holmes. And we didn't want to leave the other point combatant out of this, the Illinois Truck and Equipment point camera, or onboard camera for Michael Self here. They will start in that second row, 1 and 2 in the point standings.
Yeah, they line up the pits on owners' points. They are qualified next to each other. We mentioned 7 times they've finished within 1 position of each other. I don't think they're quite sick of looking at each other, but they have certainly a lot of time to gawk at the other guy's stuff to see what they're doing differently. And man, they're nearly identical on the finish sheets. The performance today, however, will come on how true these cars can stay to the changing track surface. We have a couple of breaks here in this race, and for the first time, these teams have had 2 sets of General Tires in the pit area, all 8 ready for them on 2 separate stops.
They always say that the dirt is the great equalizer. Will it be today? Who knows? But let's get more with Dave Reef.
Well, Bob, it certainly has the opportunity to be the great equalizer. Those cool temperatures you talked about, coupled with that big wind, has a lot of the crew chiefs looking at this racetrack. Watch for the track to dry out. Another thing that is worth talking about, this racetrack tends to favor the bottom groove. So if you're the pole sitter, everybody on the inside of those rows heading into turn number 1, you're in a good position. But Ryan Unzicker's crew quick to get on the radio and say, hey, careful, those championship combatants are behind you. They're going to be pressing for the lead. And the thing that they wanted him to do was make sure he protects the bottom, but doesn't get too close to that rail. Gives himself a little bit of room, because that turn 1 here in just under a lap is going to be the place to watch this race as it kicks off. That could be a pivotal corner.
Dave Reef, I think the restarts are certainly going to be interesting. There's Kelly Kovsky. He was crew chief for a winner here at ARCA a few years ago with Grant Infinger. But Kelly is a noted dirt track specialist from this area. This is a new car to them, and he could be a contender here today.
Kelly and his family have worked with the Allgaiers for years, and Kelly's actually been doing his own crew chiefing more than racing lately, but he is a dirt driver from Springfield, Illinois. A ton of fans here trying to watch their hometown driver. Finally, perhaps today's a day for Kelly Kovsky to bag an ARCA victory on the dirt.
And what about Haley Deegan? Haley Deegan still looking to become the first female to win in the ARCA Menards series. She leads that Rookie of the Year chase. She's led laps this year. She has a best finish of 2nd at Daytona, but she also loves dirt track racing. That's where she began, in short course racing out west. And then also, she has been running a micro at Millbridge Speedway in North Carolina.
And this week, she went out on UTV to get what she felt was the brake difference. She wanted to feel the balance of the car. She wanted to feel the car dive on a track that her dad built in the yard they have for their off-road training. So she's really gotten a lot tuned in here and a lot of confidence heading into this dirt race. She's thinking this might be her best chance to win here in ARCA in 2020, coming today.
Kovsky and Deegan in the third row. The first row is made up of Ryan Unzicker and the birthday boy, Ty Gibbs. He turns 18 to match his card number here today. But Unzicker, 39 years old, all sorts of dirt track experience from around this area. The ARCA Menards Series, nice and slow. Down the front stretch here at the Springfield Mile. We are green with the ARCA Menards Series in the land of Lincoln. Hold on, Ty Gibbs goes around a big melee in turn number 4 to complete a wild first lap in the Allen Crow 100.
When the dust settles, we're going to see a green and white car in the middle of this. Michael South Point Contender got involved as he was running 4th or 5th behind what was a spinning Ty Gibbs in a car by Will Kimmel, that red and black 69. Man, that was a close call for a lot of drivers. As the smoke clears and the dust settles, we'll find out who is all involved. That's Taylor Gray's number 17 Ford.
Plenty of cars mangled in the opening lap of this race at the Springfield Mile. Ty Gibbs, his day might be done in the Monster Energy machine.
They can come to pit road, make any changes here. They're not on a clock of any sort, and they're out the back of their hauler, so they have all the parts they need right there with them. Let's take one more look here.
Here's the Auto Park It replay. You see the dust from the first lap. The 18 car, second car in line, kind of got sideways there. Will Kimmel in the red 69, nowhere to go, made contact, and then everybody just piled in. So a bad break for everybody running up front. And things can happen in a hurry here. We saw that with Riley Herbst a couple of years ago on the dirt. We see it again here in the opening lap with Ty Gibbs triggering this crash.
Just a matter of no traction. I mean, there's not been anything on this racetrack for over an hour and a half. Kenny Schrader ran his modified here earlier. We also had a sportsman race on the track, but it's been sitting for about an hour. And there was not a lot of water put down. They didn't work a lot in on that lower groove, trying to keep the track as it was. The teams were all hoping that would be the case. But for Ty Gibbs, it got too slick there in turn 3.
Wow, look at the damage on that right front suspension for Ty Gibbs. Taylor Gray with damage. We know that Michael Self was involved in that one. We'll come back and update you on everything here at Springfield. A wild first lap at the Springfield Mile for the ARCA Menards Series, the final round of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown. And right now, Brett Holmes on the outside of the front row for this next restart, hoping to pick up that championship like he did last year. He's on the outside of Ryan Unzicker. We can tell you that the 18 of Ty Gibbs, who started on the outside of the front row, is still on pit road.
Michael Self was able to recover as well. He's on the racetrack starting inside row 4.
Nice slow pace to the green. On board with Michael Self, the Illinois Truck and Equipment Camera. He is riding back outside of the top 5, trying to break into the top 5 right now. Is Michael Self battling for a championship? The point leader, Brett Holmes, out of Alabama, is second to Ryan Unzicker in the 24.
Smart move by Holmes, not pressing the issue. If Ryan Unzicker wants to lead this race, go ahead, be the rabbit. I don't really mind at this point, as Brett Holmes would think, to want to take that lead just yet. Unzicker has been known to be fast in these races, however, has yet to finish top podium finishes on the dirt tracks here in the ARCA Menards Series. He only races a couple times a year, and it's been on dirt for 18 of his 20 ARCA Menards Series starts. So I think Holmes is doing the right thing by being a bit cautious. Speaking of cautious, we're on board with Michael Self. He just asked his spotter under caution, Bobby, said, hey man, I need more out of you than I thought I would. Visibility here is not that great. Tell me more than you think I want to know, because I may not be able to see everything that's happening around me.
And he was telling him that after only one lap complete on the racetrack. Big mishap in turn number 4 on that opening lap, but you can see a lot of dust here today. When we got here this morning, lot of people said, man, this racetrack was really wet, wetter than they thought it was going to be. But the entire staff knew that this track would dry out in a hurry.
It was misting yesterday afternoon as I made my way through the hometown of our race leader, Ryan Unziger, in El Paso, Illinois. I'm like, okay, it's sprinkling now. What is the track going to do? What's it going to be like? It's sprinkled again this morning. So big credit to Bob Sargent and the Track Enterprises crew for really keeping this track. Because once it gets muddy, and it's not been run on a lot, it's going to get really chunky. This is a nice smooth track now that appears to be slicking off just a little bit in the early stages here, just 7 laps in.
But at the same time, if we talk about that visibility, especially on restarts here, it could present a problem if you're running behind somebody and not on that front row, like Haley Deegan behind the 20 right now. With a lot of the dust, and we're seeing some of it kind of diminish now as we get into racing. But I saw Brent Holmes, who runs in second, kind of go to the bottom side going down the front stretch just a couple of laps ago when he was behind Ryan Unziger, maybe to get a better view.
And maybe get some air on that inlet on the front end, because you can see those different kind of configurations of what these teams have. They want to keep as much airflow through the car without having as much dirt pile up on the front nose. We had 4 cars in this race last year retire due to overheating issues.
The 18 of Ty Gibbs in that first lap incident, outside pole sitter today. He's going back out on the racetrack. The team trying to get more points in terms of the Owners' Championship. And did you see Haley Deegan there get all sorts of out of shape off the corner?
I don't think she wants to go straight on this racetrack. This is the biggest oval dirt track she's been on. She won last year on the Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track. That's a 3/8 mile, man. That's a lot smaller than this racetrack. So if she's out there sideways already, she wants to make sure these turns can be true to what she wants to do and prove that her her dirt racing background is going to come to fore here.
Oh, trouble. Tim Richmond goes around in the 0-6. That will bring out the caution as he sits in a precarious position on the racetrack, coming off of turn number 4 and on the front stretch here at the Springfield Mile.
Tim had a decent qualifying effort, qualified 11th in the number 06. This is his home state race without Chicagoland Speedway on the schedule. This is really his chase time to shine in his home state. An Ottawa, Illinois native near Chicago. Again, we're about 3.5 hours south and west of Chicago in the capital city. So certainly a home race for Tim, wanting to do well here in front of the home state fans.
Richmond was running in the top 10. There is Haley Deegan. Right now she rides in 4th. She's pretty aggressive on a dirt track. And if you look at the Bounty Rookie Challenge and the difference between the top 2 in this challenge this year, it's Haley Deegan and Drew Dollar. Dollar won at Talladega, but really Haley Deegan has been just a little bit more consistent overall than Drew Dollar has, especially as of late.
And as even as they are, the average finish is Haley's 7.7 average for the year. Average finish for Drew Dollar in his first full year in the ARCA Menards Series, 8.9. You mentioned last couple races. It's not been kind to Drew Dollar. 6th at Winchester, 8th at Memphis. Well, Haley Deegan had a 12th and an accident at Winchester and came back to 7th, but she's averaging about a 6th or 7th place finish the second half of the year. Drew's had some more issues that have taken him out of the running for the Rookie of the Year. It's not quite as close to the battles we thought it would be at this point in the year.
Let's go to the pits where Dave Reef is.
Bob now multiple laps down. The birthday boy quick to apologize for what happened over there early. Car back in for a second time. They were working on the right front of that obvious sheet metal damage there. What happened is it took them so darn long to get back out on the racetrack. Broken tie rod pieces. You can see them actually back here at the front of the pit, hanging out right down here. Normally, there's a tie rod that connects the 2 of those, and that is a straight bar. But they've worked on that, and they're just trying to get him more comfortable in the car. It's the Owners' Championship points that you talked about. Again, just trying to get him comfortable to finish out this race. The other car that had major damage from that lap 1 incident was Taylor Gray. I watched that team. All they did is put a brand new General tire on that left front rather, and remove a lot of that sheet metal damage. They didn't have any sort of suspension issues. And I believe, guys, you have scoring and timing, but Taylor Gray is still on the lead lap. That team able to get that work done in the Ford Performance 17.
Well, Dave, one of the most notable things is the Sinclair number 25 was just on pit road. Michael Self relinquishing a 7th place position on the racetrack to come down and make adjustments to that race car.
Had a crew member climb in the right side window. Don't know for what exactly, but they got a tear off, so Self's visibility is a lot better now. There's a really thin piece of clear glass, Lexan, that they can peel off of that window. They have a couple more peel-offs on that windshield as well that they'll need to use, but Self thought enough to give up track position to get that windscreen clean and something addressed in the interior of his Sinclair Lubricants Toyota.
This race always a lot of fun for everybody who is a fan of the ARCA Menards series. Here's the Geico Race 411, 100 laps in all, 2 race breaks. Those are the key things in terms of getting adjustments to these race cars. That will come on lap 35 and 70 or around there. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, we've been racing here with the ARCA Menards series since 1983. And the man that won here last year, Michael Self, had just been on pit road.
In the pits to get that tear off and something addressed to the car. Will Kimmel pitted as well. We saw him charge forward on the opening lap from his starting position up to third. There we go. Let's get out the old Swiffer. This is Michael Self trying to clean the interior of the window. Again, that dust flies around everywhere. And you saw Corey Heim's windshield a moment ago in car number 20. His windshield is almost like a magnet, like it's a sticky, wet magnet on the outside for all that dust to collect. Michael's got his own cleaner on the inside to make sure he can see out the inside because all that dust is collecting now on the inside of that front windshield.
Jim, you've been coming here to Springfield for a long time. What are the keys to winning?
Well, not only can you keep the window clean, you need to keep that nose clean. Cars can overheat quickly on the nose of these cars, so they got to keep that nose clean. Also, don't get out of line. We saw Sheldon Creed lose 10 spots in one corner on a late race restart. Stay in the groove. Out of the marbles, and also you need to be really smart on restarts. We'll prove here how important restarts will be and can be throughout this 100-mile race.
Speaking of restarts, we have one right now. Unzicker leans it back to the green. Look at how quickly Brett Holmes just gets back to the bottom. To your point, trouble for Drew Dollar. He's all sorts of out of shape, coming off of turn number 2 and losing a bunch of positions.
What triggered that really was Haley Deegan stepping on the line. She really wanted to find the bite on the outside. It wasn't there, but behind her was Drew Dollar trying to find the same part of the racetrack, saying, if she's going out there, I'm going to see what's out there. Neither found traction. Drew Dollar had to step all the way out of the gas and lost 3 or 4 spots there.
Kelly Kovsky in the 16 has moved up to third. There is Corey Heim. Corey Heim, we mentioned earlier, very good on the dirt tracks last year. A top finish of third on the 2 dirt tracks in 2019. This year, instead of Chad Bryant Racing, he's with Venturini Motorsports in that 20.
Venturini Motorsports has won the last 5 of 8 dirt races here in the ARCA Menards series. Corey with his 2 top tons a year ago, man, he finished third at DuQuoin. Didn't really know what he was doing. He said, I just stayed to the inside. I stayed true to my line. I like wrapping the corner. It paid off for him there, but man, how can he see out of this windshield?
I was just going to say, that's the point that we were trying to make a little bit earlier. Man, this place is a little bit dusty here today. It's starting to sort itself out, but it's very difficult to see, and that is from Brett Holmes, who only has 1 car in front of him, the leader, Ryan Unzicker.
Looking at the windscreen again, that's caked on both inside and outside. There's moisture involved with that. It's not just dust flying around in the car. It's actually affixed itself to that windscreen. There's Haley Deegan on the inside here fighting for position, but look how Heim is blinded. Look at that windshield. It almost looks like he was just covered in dirt and didn't know what to do about it, but now he's on the outside. Perhaps he missed his entry just by visibility reasons alone. Contact
between Self and Corey Heim in the 20. Self backs out, knows he's in a championship fight. He doesn't need to get himself in a precarious position.
Now think of this. Michael Self pitted, and look at how dirty his windshield already is. We're only 7 laps after he pitted on pit road for that front left side of the windshield getting peeled away. That dirt is everywhere, not just at the start of this race, but it's ever present, and Self may need to come in again for a windscreen clean off with a tear off in a moment.
We're 16 laps into this race. This racetrack still kind of new. I think it's going to gain character throughout the course of this race and maybe widen out just a little bit. Right now, it's very narrow, the groove in the corners.
Yeah, Will Kimmel was hoping that it would widen out. He told me that before the race. He said, I didn't do that great in qualifying, but I want to widen out this groove if I can. He might be the guy to try it just to keep what he thinks will be a second groove he'll need later in the race.
Yellow flag for Corey Heim. He stops on the racetrack. Heim in that number 20 had some battery issues in practice today, stopped on the racetrack twice during practice, so that brings out the caution here 17 laps into 100 at the Illinois State Fairground.
So we mentioned visibility issues. We mentioned that he got nudged by his teammate, and there's a lot going on all of a sudden for Corey Heim, who last night raced a Cars Tour race in South Carolina, flew up here this morning. We had a very condensed schedule, which we always do here at Springfield. Half an hour qualifying, half an hour practice. We qualify and race within a 4-hour window. And for Corey, that spin, we don't know how it began, but unfortunately, visibility could again play a big issue in how Corey was able to not get through that corner without spinning it around.
The CGS Imaging 4 crown will be awarded today to one lucky driver. It's basically up between Brett Holmes and Michael Self coming into this race. And right now, Brett Holmes trying to go back-to-back with the CGS Imaging 4 crown championship.
So of their finishes at Michigan, Daytona Road Course, Memphis, and Springfield, those are the 4 races that were chosen as the 4 crown races, representing the diversity of the series. Let's go to 4 different tracks completely. This is the final of those 4. And Brett Holmes has just a 3-point deficit to Michael Self. That, again, is a different point standing. Brett Holmes won that a year ago by his performance on all different kind of tracks we have this in this schedule. So as it plays out, Self has that 3-point lead. Hailie Deegan's only 9 points out of winning what could be a 4-crown championship.
Corey Heim brings out the most recent caution here at Springfield. What's going on, Dave?
Well, you can take a look inside of the car of Corey Heim, who's complaining, just like Michael Self, of a lot of dust on the inside. Actually handed him a Swiffer. Did a lot of that himself, trying to get the thing. The key is not to just get it clean, but to make sure it's dry by the time they get back out on the racetrack. Because if there's any moisture on there, that dust gets back on the inside, and it makes the problem even worse. And this is a 20 car, by the way, guys. Normally crew chief by Billy Venturini, but Kevin Reed tells me his son, Kevin Reed Jr., on the box today for the 20.
So Corey Heim will have to go to the back of the field and try to work his way back up. I'm still amazed by that 23. Take a look at that windshield, Jim. You talk about that moisture that's trapped between maybe some of the tear-offs.
Yeah.
And inside and out, it's just dusty. Very difficult to see, but he'll line up on the front row. That's a positive. And the interesting thing here as we take a look at this right now is he's got a good opportunity. If he can get the advantage going into turn number 1 and get down real quick, he could get to that lead. But last time when we had that restart, he kind of lifted off the throttle just to get into second.
Let Unzinger take it, but I think this time it might be different, as you mentioned about it. He knows the track's a bit wider in turn 1. He knows he has to gas it off of turn number 4. Unzinger, again, only races a couple of these races a year. He's so happy with the car they built for him, but in reality, Brett Holmes is in game shape. He's been running 17 of these races. We've been running back-to-back since June here in this series. Unzinger's been racing a whole different kind of car, a 2,300-pound dirt late model. So to get all those components right, Brett Holmes is going to have to time out this restart to get that lead into turn number 1.
Keep an eye on the inside of the second row. Kelly Kofsky is a dirt track specialist. He knows a thing or two. He knows right now he needs to stay glued to that 24's back bumper because the outside groove not exactly where it needs to be. Can Kofsky get to the inside of Brett Holmes in turn number 1? The race is there and Kofsky is there. Kofsky able to get second. Great view from our Illinois Truck and Equipment onboard camera. Out of the 25 of Michael Self, a little contact there with Hailie Deegan. And now Brett Holmes trying to get back to the inside of Kofsky. Can't do it. Kofsky in second. Brett Holmes back to third. And Michael Self just behind him.
And wouldn't you know it, Michael Self and Will Kimmel in that red number 69 Ford both pitted under our second caution. They've made their way back up into the top 5 now. Great restart. Hailie Deegan, after that banging off of Michael Self, was kind of stuck on the outside. Kimmel followed Self through on the bottom. The bottom's where you want to be. Hailie continues to want to push the envelope on the outside groove, trying to work in that groove and a half up off the rail.
The Kimmel family has meant so much to the history of the ARCA Menards series. Bill, Frank the 10-time champion. Now, Will, trying to run as many races as he can. He's been a part-time competitor in all sorts of racing this year, underfunded team. And he has won a couple of races at Kentucky Motor Speedway in a street stock this year, but he's coming back to the dirt because he enjoys it so much in the ARCA Menards series.
You know, he's got a lot of races here at Springfield, 10 as a matter of fact. He finished 5th here last year, but he's only decided to race in the dirt track races. He ran the Daytona Road Course as well this year. They've got a program where Scott Melton and other drivers have raced with their equipment. Will's got that Kansas car just about done, so they're going to be racing there in this number 69 team. But for Will, for his time behind the seat, it hasn't been nearly as frequent as it had been based upon funding. This team wants to get funded and go racing with Will full-time to carry on that 3 generations of Kimmel racing tradition.
Michael Self can barely see Brett Holmes in front of him. as he races into turn number 1. The yellow flag is back out. 23 laps into this one, the 4th yellow flag. And just as we spoke about Will Kimmel, he's up against the front stretch inside wall. Right where everybody enters the pit area here at the Springfield Mile.
Just a lap ago, we were talking about how close he was closing on Michael Self's rear bumper for 4th. That's right at the pit entrance, which is off the exit of turn 4, driver's left. And he's not going anywhere, Bob. This is not good. He can't fire that car because all he had to do is do a 180 and go right back in the pits to get attention from his crew.
He's taken his helmet off, so the day appears to be done for Will Kimmel, who had high hopes coming into this race, was the General Tire Pole Award winner at DeCoin a few years ago. The 23 of Brett Holmes and the 25 of Michael Self, go figure. They are running back-to-back on the racetrack once again. They have squared off this entire year. Big win for Brett Holmes and Michael Self, Daytona and Kansas respectively. Right now, they're going at it again, but on the dirt here at Springfield. We just got back to green at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. Kelly Kowski trying to get around Ryan Unzicker for the lead, can't do it. That opens up the hole for Brett Holmes. He's trying to move his car to the inside of that 16.
He's on the bottom there in the blue and white, number 23, sneaking in between the two dirt race ringers. Unzicker had the lead, the outside not where you want to be, so Brett Holmes had a great restart, and guess what? We don't see the number 25 anywhere, do we? Michael Self lost 4 or 5 spots and a lot of track time trying to get down from the bottom from the outside of row 2.
It seems to be all about that bottom groove on the restarts. You noted before we came back to break, hey, look, Haley Deegan lining up on the inside in that Monster Energy number 4. She was able to make it pay off for her. She has moved back up to 4th because she had been losing a lot of spots trying to make that outside groove work on a series of restarts just prior to this.
Yeah, we had the initial start. She lost some spots and gained them back on the race. We also had 2 other restarts before this one where she lost spots on the outside, just trying to hang that tail out, maybe even trying to push the limit of how far can I push this car without losing a lot of track time. Right now she's staying in line, and now, as they say, wrapping the bottom, trying to keep that left front headlight inches off that guardrail to the inside to keep that front end right where she wants it. There she goes, right next to the inside rail there. Gaining now on the 16 of Kelly Kowski.
Brett Holmes starting to gain on Ryan Unzicker, the leader. Unzicker, a dirt late model guy from this area, has struggled a little bit. A lot of bad breaks, misfortune for him this year. Boy, would it be a big day for him to get the victory on the dirt. But it would be big for Brett Holmes, who grew up in dirt track racing as well.
Yeah, these guys both know exactly what to do in a dirt late model race car. Unzicker, new to this team, 8 or 9 years ago, I'd say new to this team, because Bill Hendren has always had a car here at the Springfield Mile. This is his 46th straight year, and Ron Unzicker's first pole for Bill Hendren since 1999 when Bob Strait won the pole here at Springfield for Bill Hendren in an ARCA race. This car, Bob, I got to tell you, they're pretty happy with what they have. They took delivery of this Chevrolet from what was Sheldon Creed's inventory and last year raced by Carson Hocevar. They have a brand new car they're so excited to have because they saw how good that car was a year ago. And as Bill Hendren told me, he said, I don't want to get lapped again. I don't want to get lapped on my home racetrack. Let's get some better equipment. They're happy with what they have out front.
When you mention Brett Holmes, you think about what the ARCA Menards series is all about. This is a kid that grew up and cut his teeth on the short tracks of the South. And now he's big time racing with the ARCA Menards series and battling for a championship.
And I like the fact that he's gone from the dirt to limited late models. In the year before he raced in ARCA, now into his 5th season, he's really had a chance to shine. He's really had a chance to show that his team is capable and worthy of just 4 or 5 full-time guys working that shop every day to run for this championship.
What do you think would happen today if Kelly Kowski were to go to the lead today at Springfield?
We saw the emotion of Kelly Kowski when he was on the pit box as the crew chief for Grant Enfinger, his good buddy. I'm looking at, when they won the year 2017. Grant Enfinger won in the number 16 for Kelly, who was recovering from serious health injuries from an accident in February that year down at Speed Weeks in New Smyrna. So as that all progressed, I could see how much it meant to Kelly. His dad Roy is here, Mike Allgaier is here, Gator's here. They're all cheering him on. Half the grandstand has either Kelly Kowski or Ryan Unzicker wearables on right now on this cool afternoon.
Haley Deegan, we mentioned her dirt track experience on the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series in some micros at tracks in the Southeast. but this running a stock car on a big mile racetrack is altogether different.
And then just the size. I mean, she can get used to it. We saw her win at Las Vegas dirt track with her move on the last lap. Saw an opening on the bottom on a late race restart. Led the final lap and went on to win there. She saw the opening and took it. Right now, I think she's learning something. She's learning that that bottom groove is not the worst place to be. She's able to maintain whole position here. Hailie Deegan running fourth here in this monster Ford. Losing a bit of time now, however, to Kelly Kofsky. This is a great place for her to be behind this driver who has so many times lapped this racetrack and nearly won.
It's a disappointing day for Will Kimmel, who's now standing by with Dave.
It is, Bob. You can see the dust-covered windshield. The 69 is parked. I'm not sure what came first, the chicken or the egg, but I think we've been able to dissect what ended up with the 69 in the corner, some contact with the 15. How did it all go down, Will?
Just went into three and, felt something come loose or break, and turns out right front rotor broke. And I was trying to get to the pits here, and we get 15 car got into it. No fault of his, just a tough day for us, but got to thank Valvoline, Jack's Wax, and all my guys for coming out and helping us.
Tough question, but how tough is it out there right now to see? How tough is it to see right now?
It's pretty tough. It's it's good to be second or third, I'll tell you that.
All right, well, tough break for you. Glad to see everything's okay though.
Good to see Will Kimmel here. Unfortunate circumstances for him. He's out of the show today. And that Kimmel name is among the big names that have won here at the Springfield Mile. Take a look at this list right here. Bob Keselowski, the father.
4 wins.
Yes, Brad Keselowski, the Cup champion. Ken Schrader, Justin Allgaier. There is Frank Kimmel, the final one of his 8 wins here at Springfield.
He's raced 48 dirt races, Bob. He's won 8 times here and 5 at DuQuoin, and he's in Hailie Deegan's pit box. You can tell that's going to be helpful to her. Justin Haley, man, what a great run he had yesterday in the Xfinity Series. He won here on the dirt, and he actually credited his Trans Am racecraft about how to adapt here to dirt and hold the wheel just a certain way with these bias-ply tires. Grant Enfinger, to mention that triumphant return to the series and racing with Kelly Kofsky's team in an emotional victory. And man, Christian Eckes put him on last year. He won at DuQuoin. In 2018, he won here at Springfield.
36 laps into this. Caution for the first race break in this race. The Bounty Rookie spotlight firmly on Hailie Deegan as this teenager tries to take top rookie honors in the ARCA Menards series. She's had ups and downs this year, but battling strong at Springfield.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Christian Eckes, a driver that won at Springfield 2 years ago under the first race break. Lap 36 into 100 for the Alan Crow 100 at the Springfield Mile. Brett Holmes in that 23, currently the runner-up in this race so far. Ryan Unzicker continues to lead. Last weekend, when we were in Memphis, Tennessee, we crowned the Sioux Chief Showdown champion, a race within the ARCA Menards series, and it belongs to Sam Mayer. This kid has a bright future ahead of him. Already a winner not only in ARCA, but in the NASCAR trucks.
And this footage shows you what he did on the first of 2 race nights. Go to Victory Lane twice at Bristol Motor Speedway. First in the trucks, and then in the ARCA Menards series last couple Thursdays ago.
Grant Enfinger, Chase Briscoe, NASCAR winners. Sheldon Creed won the championship in ARCA a couple of years ago. This is a great training ground for future superstars in the upper levels of NASCAR.
Absolutely, Riley Herbst got his taste of the dirt here. Matter of fact, during the trucks playoff when they started, 3 ARCA champions and 5 ARCA race winners. In the Xfinity series, when their playoffs rolled on, we had 2 ARCA champs and 8 ARCA race winners in those playoff drivers' resumes.
Brett Holmes is carrying our General Tire onboard camera today. It'll be an interesting view from him as we go green when we come back to Springfield. It's the ARCA Menards Series Alan Crow 100 live on MAV TV from Springfield, Illinois. You're looking at Michael Self, who is challenging for the overall National ARCA Menards Series Championship this year. He runs in 6th. Jim Trado is going to try to talk to him.
Michael, we're riding along with you in the MAV TV booth. We can see you have visibility issues. How much of a difficulty is it seeing out that windshield of that Sinclair Toyota?
It's horrible when you're back here in the pack a little bit. It's worse than I've ever seen it. I don't know if it's a product of the weather today or what, but I mean, the first lap out there was just outrageous. And, you couldn't see a thing. And, they're packed on the inside of the windshield. That's kind of hard to get off, so it's bad.
And as far as your nose damage, that came on lap 1 as well. How much has that been troubling to you in your race here?
I don't know if it affects the aero more than anything. Our water temp's been okay, so that's a positive, but the aero is pretty big at this place, especially when you're behind other cars, so definitely not helping there.
All right, Michael, we wish you well. Thank you. Again, Michael talking about the nose. They put tape on that nose because he had, I believe, hit the 69 car of Will Kimmel sideways on that lap 1 incident. I thought, okay, it looks okay to me, but when they came to pit road, they found a different issue. Kevin Reed, the crew chief, said they think they fixed about 90% of it on this caution.
A lot of fixing going on down on pit road during this race break, Dave Reeve. I think there was as much work to do inside the car as there was on some of the chassis setups and adjustments these teams made.
Oh, you are 100% correct. Michael talked about it just a moment ago with Jim Tradow, and that's what all the scanner traffic on the Racing Electronic Scanner was talking about. Drivers just complaining about visibility. In fact, we saw one of Brett Holmes' guys climb inside of the 23. In-car camera on board to capture all of that moment. In fact, as I surveyed the windshields leaving pit road, Brett Holmes was only the second best as far as being clean. The only one who's perhaps a little bit better is a guy leading this race who hasn't run into as much dust as Michael Self and the rest of this field, but that is the major concern. But they do expect that this track will become less dusty here as the race goes on. But boy, that was a war for the first 36 laps, just fighting visibility.
And we saw Brett Holmes, that team went to work on getting him a boxing glove on a pole, wrapped up with a bunch of rags on it, looks like. It's sitting next to him in the car right now. So he's got his own homemade Swiffer, thanks to the Brett Holmes shop rag drawer.
Well, I love what Dave said before. Michael Self had a Swiffer to try to clean his windshield. Well, Brett Holmes, the epitome of a smaller team. It's David versus Goliath. Goliath is the Venturini Motorsports team. Brett Holmes may be the David, and you're right. He had a homemade little rag and a pole to try to wipe that windshield. Back to green for the ARCA Menards series. Brett Holmes, will he get back into second? Kelly Kowski there once again. Kowski a little tail happy coming off the corner. He gets to second. Corey Heim trying to close the door, close the gap to get into third. But Brett Holmes, what a run down the backstretch.
He has been impressive on the outside. This is the third time Brett Holmes has started on the outside and has lost maybe 1 or 2 spots at most. As I say that he's just wide here, but he's really done well on what is a very narrow line at this point in the race to hold position. Losing 1 spot here to Corey Heim ahead.
Look at that view from our General Tire onboard camera. How narrow the groove is in the corner. You see the black down there. That's the groove. If they get up and above that into the brown stuff, it's kind of chunky up there. And that's where people lose grip. So right now, Brett Holmes starting on the outside of that front row, he lost a couple of spots because of it.
And we saw the shade of the front stretch be kind of a kind relief for those drivers not able to have to squint so bad going through the corner. But this is what turn 3 and 4 looks like. It's like you turn everybody's house light on in the patio on a foggy night trying to see who's in front of you and who's around you. Hard to do with that sun glaring right in your eyeballs trying to make your way through turn 4.
On board with Brett Holmes trying to get by Corey Heim in the 20. Can't do it. He had a pretty good run. Can he do it off of turn number 2 here? Holmes has got a better car than Corey Heim right now.
Heim got a position because Brett Holmes had to start on the outside, plain and simple. Now it's a matter of drag racing down the backstretch. I love the fact we're racing. We're not riding here. We got 4 fresh General tires on these cars from our first of 2 race breaks today. Let them race. Let's go after this.
Can he do it off of turn number 2 here? Holmes has got a better car than Corey Heim right now.
Heim got a position because Brett Holmes had to start on the outside, plain and simple. Now it's a matter of drag racing down the backstretch. I love the fact we're racing. We're not riding here. We got 4 fresh General tires on these cars from our first of 2 race breaks today. Let them race. Let's go after this. Don't conserve much. And, man, we're hammering here, and Holmes takes that spot back.
Yeah, Holmes picks up third again. Now trying to close the gap between he and Kelly Kowski. So right now, those dirt track ringers looking pretty good, 1 and 2 on the track.
You know, I thought they'd be up there, and we've never seen a dirt race. I'd say A.J. Fike, perhaps in 2015, was the last true dirt track ringer to win an ARCA Menards Series race on dirt. And looking at how things shake out here, Hunziker's looking pretty undefeatable today. He's led every lap thus far on that blue number 24.
You know, we've talked about this throughout the week when we were prepping our notes. It's sort of like when the NASCAR Cup Series goes to a road course. The road course ringers are always good, but sometimes they can't survive. Maybe they punish a little bit too much or finish in the latter part of the top 10. Well, the same can be said, honestly, in regards to the dirt track ringers when they come to ARCA.
Because we don't race more than 1 or 2 races a year, and they're racing all the time on dirt, I agree, Bob. There's going to be a way to figure this out. And unfortunately for these teams, we only have 1 dirt race this year. We couldn't race DuQuoin and Springfield. I'm really thankful Ron Drager and the ARCA crew got together with Bob Charter and said, let's make a race. Let's get to Springfield. Let's get a race in on the dirt to really showcase the talent of these drivers. And Corey Heim is certainly showing his talent here in that number 20. He's doing so well in what just is his 3rd dirt race after running twice last year in this series.
Let's take a look at who these dirt track ringers are today at Springfield in the ARCA Menards series. Will Kimmel was up front early but had some misfortune. He's out of the race right now, but he's a former pole winner on dirt. Kelly Kovsky, so close to a victory on the dirt in ARCA. Is today the day? And then Ryan Unzicker has done just about everything but win in ARCA on dirt.
Yeah, Unzicker's doing really well today. They are running 1-2, Unzicker leading. Kelly Kovsky, we were back to live off of turn number 4, completing the 44th lap. We're almost halfway through this one already, Bob. So these guys are really gauging each other right now. Playing that game, okay, the track's burned off. The brown dirt is gone. We now see some blackening. We see that track getting hard and slick, and we'll be taking down some of that General Tire grabber rubber on this racetrack. So they're really looking at how this track is changing, and that's really playing to their favor now. While these full-time teams may have a guess or two, Kovsky and Unzicker know exactly what they're doing. They have a lot of experience when it comes to getting these track conditions figured out behind the wheel, or in Kelly's case, on the pit box. He actually won the UMP Modified Dirt National Championships as a crew chief this year with Nick Hoffman. 22 wins in 35 races with he and his modified team racing on the Allgaier shops right here in Springfield, Illinois. So he's got a lot of experience judging how this dirt surface can change this year.
I spend a lot of time with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, and right now all these drivers would be saying, I wish they could blow off the top groove. If we can get that top groove working here, this place could be interesting at Springfield. The 18 of Ty Gibbs, banged up, battered, and bruised in the Allen Crow 100 for the ARCA Menards Series, the final round of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown. Ty Gibbs, winner last week in Memphis, Tennessee, not going to get it done, but he's just outside the top 10. Here's the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. Ty Gibbs involved in that first lap mishap.
He was running second at the time, spun in front of the entire field. That's the look on Michael Self's car. That's where he got the damage from. And as the race wore on, visibility has certainly been an issue.
Self has closed back in on the leaders. He's back in the top 5, but Ryan Unzicker has been the dominator so far, the only car out in front of this field.
Handful of cautions already really have allowed the teams to make those thoughts and adjustments and have a break to think about what's going on and the time to repair. We saw some pit stops early on by Michael Self and by Will Kimmel that they are able to come back from and run top 5 in the first half.
Our Lucas Oil Production Studios team is so good. Cautions just went from 5 to 6 because the yellow flag is out. So thank you so much, Tom Joe. Good job right there. Unzicker leads 51 laps into this one.
Michael Self was involved. Self spun off of turn number 4, Bob. I just caught the green and white car spinning as the caution flag flew. Huge deal here. Again, coming into this race, only 2 points out of the championship lead. That's 2 positions on the track. And he had an issue that sent him around in turn 4 to bring out our 6th caution.
Bad break for one of the point challengers, Michael Self at Springfield. He brings out the caution just past the midway point in this race. You see that bare bond to the right front and the left front on the 25. It's been an up and down day for Michael Self. We were just talking about how he just cracked back into the top 5.
He ran through some oil at Bristol Motor Speedway and knocked the right rear tail off the car and still came back to finish 5th. So this team is never going to stop. They have a no-quit attitude. Crew Chief Kevin Reed and his team were with Christian Eckes last year when he won at DuQuoin. He was with him the year prior when Christian Eckes won at Springfield, a driver you wouldn't expect to win on the dirt. Well, Michael Self's doing what he needs to do, some house cleaning here, trying to tell the team what he needs in the car. He's got that Swiffer trying to get that windshield clean time and time again. It's been clouding up quickly on a race, on the driver of the number 25, and man, I couldn't tell you what all happened, but I saw that car sideways and stopped in turn 4. Crazy.
Last year, this year, very similar feel for Michael Self. So good throughout the year, so dominant throughout the year. And then all of a sudden last year, here comes Christian Eckes. All of a sudden this year, here comes Brett Holmes. And now, as the laps wind down in this season, he finds himself struggling to go after this championship.
And at the beginning of the year, Michael Self really wanted to look at Kansas as his way to pay off the championship because how well he races there at that mile and a half racetrack, which will be our season finale in 2 weeks' time.
Here's the Auto Park It replay from the Illinois Truck and Equipment onboard camera of what happened to Michael Self. Looks like he might have got up in that second groove, and when he did, just lost control of the 25.
Yeah, I'm looking through the clouds on the windshield to see if there's any other culprits and cars going by him quickly. I didn't see any. Michael might have done it all by himself there.
And now he has come to the attention of his Venturini Motorsports team. You can see that deflector right there to deflect some of the mud that can come up on the hood so it doesn't hit that windshield.
Yeah, that's one of the adjustments that the teams have done. I've seen a lot of different configurations. I've seen larger panels on different angles, but that seems to be the most prevalent angle we've seen here today. Haley Deegan's got one of these, Taylor Gray. Again, it's just another way for these teams to prepare for this 100-mile grind of how dirt can fly, or maybe if you're getting some wet, thick, or if the bottom's too wet, it's going to spit up some mud on you. That deflector will literally allow the air and the mud to go from that deflector over the windshield to clear the windshield to keep the driver's view as clear as possible.
It's always pretty neat when you come to either DuQuoin or Springfield to see the innovations of what these teams do to the race cars. And, you know, that deflector on the hood is just one of the things they can do. They can do some things with the grill. In fact, I remember seeing some chains just to knock the dirt off the screen so that they can still get air, you know, into that engine and cool down the car. So many different things. I've seen lug nuts tied to strings. The innovation here by these teams is very interesting.
And Kelly Kofsky, we got a glimpse of his car. He'll start outside row number 1. He has a mesh fence in front of his grill. Looks to be about a 4-inch spacer between the screen and the actual bodywork to keep that away from the nose piece.
Dave, what can you tell us about Michael Self?
Well, listening in on the racing electronic scanner, there may be a throttle control issue. Michael wants to take the car into the corner and obviously relax that throttle just a little bit before picking it up center of the corner there. But for some reason, that car does not want to slow down. It wants to keep that throttle engaged, and Michael says it's absolutely undrivable. They did a couple of different things, best they could to get it out there, but I don't think it's a problem. It's went away. Michael taking that car into turn number 1 to catch the back of the field says it's still there just a little bit.
That'll be a development to watch out for the 25 of Michael Self. He lines up the 4th car on the outside for this restart. Here come the dirt track ringers, Kofsky and Ryan Unzicker. Banging coming to the stripe. Man, Unzicker just so strong. That inside groove prevalent today. On board with the General Tire camera for Brett Holmes. He races back into second. Move him up to the runner-up spot.
Give all the credit to Unzicker how good he can get through that corner. Matter of fact, he made the hole available for Brett Holmes to get into that second spot. Listen to that throttle, just feathering through the turns 3 and 4.
Kofsky looked to the inside. Can't do it there. Brett Holmes protecting that second place spot right now. Behind that, Haley Deegan in 4th, Corey Hyman 5th. Let's go back on board with the 23 of Brett Holmes, because we were watching this earlier on in the race and even during his qualifying effort. Just an incredible throttle control, as you mentioned, Jim, in regards to driving around this racetrack. He has a knack for it that dates back to his dirt track roots.
And it comes second nature. When you do this as much racing as he has, whether it be limited late models on worn-out tires in a 100-lap race, you don't get a chance to change to what he knows he has adapted to here as a full-time in the ARCA Menards series. Brett, really, that throttle, you can't ask him to do that. It's just what he has to do in the corner. He couldn't tell you what he's doing. He's just feeling it. It's innate. It's second-hand nature for him to pedal that gas pedal to get grip down on the racetrack without making their rear end break loose.
Drew Dollar in the Sunbelt Rentals number 15. He runs 7th right behind his teammate Michael Self. It's been a good year for Drew Dollar with that win at Talladega, but at the same time, he was all smiles last week when we spoke to him at Memphis about coming to the dirt.
He also knew it'd be a challenge, and one thing in his favor, Shannon Rush, his crew chief, has been on the dirt, been there, done that. As a matter of fact, he won last year with Michael Self as his driver. So to get this driver comfortable, I think it's just a matter of Shannon can look you square in the eye and say, just get out there and do it. Drew can study all he wants. He can do as many dirt simulation games as he wants. Just get out there and do it. And we saw Drew take a very deliberate approach to practice. Wasn't the fastest. Didn't let the rear end brake out of line. Even in qualifying, a very conservative line for this first-year driver out of Atlanta in car number 15.
Look at Brett Holmes wheel it around this mile racetrack in Illinois. Feathering that throttle. Let's listen to him as he takes a lap around the Springfield mile. You see how gentle he is with that throttle? I mean, it's almost like you have an egg underneath the gas pedal.
And the track surface is still not 100% shined off. I mean, you hear that tinkety-tink-tink-tink in the tin? That's actually dirt and pebbles climbing up in the fender wells and knocking off those quarter panels. It's still a handful to get a really good, clean run off the corners. And we heard that tinkety-tink in the corners. So as he enters, he's still trying to fight through what he's finding is maximum grip entering each corner.
How did that go again?
Tinkety-tink-tink-tink.
Brett Holmes, what a big year it has been for the championship point leader. He won the race at Kansas, his first in the ARCA Menards series. He won a General Tire Pole Award as well. Can he win for the first time on dirt in this series? He's second right now. Ryan Unzicker continues to lead.
Hey, I'm Matt DiBenedetto, driver of the number 21 Menards Ford Mustang for Wood Brothers Racing. You're watching the ARCA Menards series on MAV TV.
Matt DiBenedetto, big-time star in the NASCAR Cup Series. A lot of aspirations for some of these younger drivers to go to the upper levels of NASCAR. Ryan Unzicker, he just wants to win here today. He's won a bunch of dirt late model races around this part of the country, and he and Bill Hendren would love to win at Springfield. It would be a special day.
They put a ton of work into this car. There's Bill on the very left-hand side on top of his hauler. He always has that same pit stall like the third or fourth car in from the pit entrance off of turn 4.
Taylor Gray, who had trouble on the first lap, has trouble once again. We're up to 7 cautions in this race, so cautions breed cautions sometimes, and we're seeing a lot of that here today as these drivers tackle the dirt of Springfield like Taylor Gray for the first time.
Didn't Taylor know the modified race was like 3 hours ago? That happened on lap 1. If you just tuned in, a lot of cars getting spun around. Ty Gibbs lost it in front of the field, and Taylor really took a big chunk off the left front fender. I give credit to that team, and Taylor and Blake Bainbridge, they don't give up either. They're just trying to make this car run. He's been running at the back half of the top 10. We just know he got away here and caused the yellow with the spin. But a good job by this 15-year-old driver. He doesn't turn 16 until mid-summer next year. So hope to see him back here racing for that Sioux Chief Showdown and other great races here in the ARCA Menards series on MAV TV.
So Taylor Gray struggling a little bit here today, the 15-year-old, with Ryan Unzicker still leading this one. There's the 18 of Ty Gibbs, winner of the last 2 ARCA Menards series events. But as Unzicker dominates this one, let's go to Dave Reeve, who's standing by with a very special person in Ryan Unzicker's life.
And that man is Bill Hendren. We just saw him a moment ago, and this is the man up close. And I'll tell you what, you guys have a race car. This brand new race car Ryan loves. What was the process in determining why now for a new race car?
Right now we don't need one. We got one. But, you know, last year we went down a lap here at Springfield, and it's been years and years since we did that. And then I decided, you know, either we're going to do something, get something better, or, you know, we ain't going to do this no more. Well, we ended up finding a deal here, and here we are.
I know there's still a long ways to go. There's another race break coming, but
Excuse me?
these 68 laps, have you had a better 68 lap stretch at Springfield?
Can't hear you.
Have you ever run better at Springfield than you are right now?
No. This is the best car we've ever had. You know, best car we've had.
So look into the crystal ball. What would it mean to win? What would it mean to win?
Huh?
What would it mean to win?
Stay in front. Stay in front usually wins.
Good luck to you, sir. Listen, awful difficulty here. We got our social distancing, but Bill Hendren is certainly riding the horse right now. His jockey is doing a great job leading this race here as we get closer to that second race break.
I tell you what, I think he's a little nervous up there watching that car lead out here. He would like nothing more than to go to victory lane today.
He's been there for 46 straight years, and this is his best race car? Holy cow, hang on.
Now listen, Unzicker has done just about everything but win in ARCA on the dirt. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, you name it. Ryan Unzicker leads.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Auto Park It. The future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com. Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. Hers, forever good. And by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products.
We are in the middle of the second and final race break in the Allen Crow 100 for the ARCA Menards series in Springfield, Illinois. Good race so far. The interesting thing is the top 5 on the racetrack elected not to pit. We're at lap 68, and those race breaks come at or around the lap they're suggested at. This one was suggested at lap 70, but it's coming at lap 68. Brett Holmes, second on the racetrack. Let's try to talk to him.
Brett Holmes, Jim Trado in the MAV TV booth. You've been outside that front row a lot today on these restarts. What's it going to take this time?
Hell, I don't know, man. I've been trying to figure it out. I was really close to passing them before that last caution came out. You know, I thought I was wearing a white suit today, and I looked down and it's brown, so I don't know if that's for me or from the track, but I've been doing all I can do from here.
You know, there's not a rule that says you have to pit on a race break. Why did you elect not to pit under this second race break, the last chance you guys get to come to pit road and change tires?
Yeah, well, we were hoping we could take the lead there and feel like we're really fast right now and capable to lead the race and not let anybody pass us. I think, you know, we really just did that for track position and didn't think we'd pick up too much from tires, you know, at this race compared to others. So, you know, I think that was the right call there. Just wish I would have faked the pit a little bit better.
10-4, we wish you well, Brett. That's Brett Holmes. He's one of the 5 cars that stood out here, Bob, on this caution, trying to get that track position. He has to get that lead. He's got to win the drag race off of turn 4 in this one.
The problem is he's going to be starting on the outside of the front row. Michael Self, his points nemesis this year, is on pit road during this race break. The top 5 in this Allen Crow 100 did not pit during this race break. We're under caution, about to go back to green. Michael Self, the first car off of pit road. He will line up 6th. Let's get more from Dave Reef.
Well, Kevin, the racing gods have put you behind the 8 ball again, but your driver, your team, you're working hard and you're salvaging something out of this. What's going on with the car right now?
Well, the biggest thing right now is just he's a little rigid over the bumps, like the race.
The first car off of pit road. He will line up 6th. Let's get more from Dave Reef.
Well, Kevin, the racing gods have put you behind the 8 ball again, but your driver, your team, you're working hard and you're salvaging something out of this. What's going on with the car right now?
Well, the biggest thing right now is just he's a little rigid over the bumps. Like the racetrack's a little bit washboardy with it drying out. They've had some bad weather here this week, and I don't think they really put a lot of effort into getting the track situated for us today. So definitely the weather change from August to October has been a little bit different. But our Sinclair Toyota's plenty fast enough. We've just not been able to get in position or have track position. But Michael's doing a good job. We made some changes here, put 4 new general on it, and we're going to go make a stab at it.
Is there a throttle issue? That car seems to come through pit road here, and it's revving awful high.
There's a deal in the ECU and the throttle body with the Ilmore stuff to where it just creates a high RPM or high idle. Put 4 new General on it, and we're going to go make a stab at it.
Is there a throttle issue? That car seems to come through pit road here, and it's revving awful high.
There's a deal in the ECU and the throttle body with the Ilmore stuff to where it just creates a high RPM or high idle, and we're fighting that today, so which is not a good day to fight it because it's basically going through the corners with a little more idle than it should.
Well, I don't know if you're superstitious or not, but look down here real quick, guys. Let me pick up this one right here and this one right here. Kevin, these are both pennies. They're heads up. I don't know if they mean anything to you, but good luck.
Brett Holmes toe-to-toe with Ryan Unzicker. Kelly Kowski sideways, gets into Haley Deegan just a little bit. Holmes tucks in behind the 24 of Unzicker. But Haley Deegan going to lose a couple of spots because of that outside groove.
Holmes really wanted to lead off of turn number 2. Smartly got behind Unzicker now. Now it's a matter of seeing what kind of grip he can get off of turn 4. He may be searching a line as dirt racers do constantly, searching for a line to run that they're not in. We'll see if Brett goes a little bit inside or outside on these straightaways, trying to find somewhere to
side groove.
Holmes really wanted to lead off of turn number 2. Smartly got behind Unzicker now. Now it's a matter of seeing what kind of grip he can get off of turn 4. He may be searching a line as dirt racers do constantly, searching for a line to run that they're not in. We'll see if Brett goes a little bit inside or outside on these straightaways, trying to find somewhere to challenge the race leader for the first time.
And the reason why Brett Holmes wants to lead a lap, first of all, he wants to go after this victory today. That's obvious. But he also gets a point if he's able to lead a lap. And that could turn really positive for him in this race for the championship.
When you look at the schedule, Daytona Road Course, when it came out, you're like, okay, advantage Michael Self. When you look at the schedule and said, hey, we're racing at Springfield, advantage Brett Holmes. So this is his chance. And if you win a race in the ARCA Menards Series starting this season, that's 3 additional points lopped down your overall total of points gathered throughout the race as the winner. So those 3 extra points, hey, he's only leading by 2. If he can lead a lap, now he's going to take that advantage 1 more point. And if he can win this race, that could be a huge point swing heading to our finale in 2 weeks' time in Kansas.
Just behind Brett Holmes in that General Tire onboard camera is the 16 of Kelly Kowski, the hometown boy trying to do good today at Springfield. Remember, he finished second back at Des Moines in 2016. He's a dirt track ringer, and he's won a bunch of races around this area on the short tracks. Modified racer. Justin Allgaier, Grant Enfinger has been involved with Kelly Kowski for a long time, but right now he seems just to be a tick off the top 2 guys on the track.
Just lacking a little bit of grip. You see how wide he gets off of turn 2. I talked to him after qualifying. Kelly said, man, he just got a little slip off of turn 2. Not enough grip. It looks like that car may be a bit too loose for his liking.
Grant Enfinger has been involved with Kelly Kowski for a long time, but right now he seems just to be a tick off the top 2 guys on the track.
Just lacking a little bit of grip. You see how wide he gets off of turn 2. I talked to him after qualifying. Kelly said, man, he just got a little slip off of turn 2. Not enough grip. It looks like that car may be a bit too loose for his liking now, but he did take the chance to stay on the racetrack, so his car may not have as much grip. And Michael Self, the number 25, is the first of the cars that did pit, as he's closing in now on his teammate, that number 20, Corey Heim, in the Craftsman Toyota.
Corey Heim has been pretty impressive. We didn't expect much from him last year on the dirt, and he proved us wrong. Led some laps here at Springfield, had a good run there at Des Moines as well, and he's doing it once again. He's running 4th, right ahead of, as you mentioned, Michael Self, his teammate, but he's been very consistent and cautious during this race, despite that 1 mishap earlier on.
And a big bonus for him, he got the start of the inside in that last restart. He started inside row 3, was able to get that spot and make a pass on Haley Deegan, who's back into 6th position. She restarted in 4th.
Trying to see with Michael Self.
I can see you squinting, Bob. Trying to really look through the window with the rest of us.
I am squinting, trying to see outside that onboard camera. Haley Deegan right behind Michael Self. I'm interested to know, Kevin Reed talked about that throttle issue, as did Dave Reeve. Why don't we listen right now?
Was able to get that spot and make a pass on Haley Deegan, who's back into 6th position. She restarted in 4th.
trying to see with Michael
I can see you
Self.
squinting, Bob. Trying to really look to the window with the rest of us.
I am squinting, trying to see outside that onboard camera. Haley Deegan right behind Michael Self. I'm interested to know, Kevin Reed talked about that throttle issue, as did Dave Reeve. Why don't we listen right now and see if we can hear anything from on board that number 25 car, Michael Self. It's a handful, but it sounds fine. Michael Self battling for the CGS Imaging 4 Crown title came into this race as the point leader, but right now Brett Holmes is running second. Dave Reeve has more on the 25.
Well, it is very, very interesting. In fact, I was going to sell exactly what you were selling and then challenge our good friend, your next door neighbor, Mr. Tradeout, to get out his calculator and start figuring this thing in, because obviously the last 25 laps of this race certainly going to have an impact on the overall championship. But with that CGS Imaging 4 Crown and Brett Holmes winning this race, or at least being ahead of the 25. Jim, how does that stack up right now if the race were to end right now?
Well, we have to go to a tiebreaker scenario for the CGS 4 Crown, because 3 points is the difference right now between Holmes in second in the 4 Crown and Michael Self standing. That's the difference on the racetrack that Brett Holmes will make up. If they end now, Holmes will get 3 more points than than Michael Self. So get out the tiebreakers. My shoes are still tied. I might have to take those off to figure out between the 10 fingers and toes and see what the point difference is by race end.
We got a battle for third. Corey Heim to the inside of Kelly Kowski. If Michael Self is able to get this spot, that may pay off dividend for him in the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship run. Self using a little muscle. He gets by Kelly Kowski. That was an important point for him, an important position on the
point difference is by race end.
We got a battle for third. Corey Heim to the inside of Kelly Kowski. If Michael Self is able to get this spot, that may pay off dividend for him in the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship run. Self using a little muscle. He gets by Kelly Kowski. That was an important point for him, an important position on the racetrack in several title fronts.
We've heard of a bump and run. That was a grind and go. Just hit the side panel, side to side on Kelly Kowski's number 16 and get the pass done.
When the door opens, you have to go through it, and that's exactly what happened. His teammate, Corey Heim, opened that door, and Michael Self said, it's time to go on the attack. He grabs that spot. Haley Deegan also able to get by Kelly Kowski. So Kowski backs to 6 right now. Here's the Auto Park replay of what happened. Look at Michael Self in the 16. Heim is already by, a little contact down there in the corner.
Only a foot difference of Kowski's entry into turn number 1. He got high into that entry. That could be the CGS Imaging move of the year, because right now, Michael Self's back in control of the points of that 4-race series. The Daytona Road Course, Memphis, Michigan Superspeedway, and here today will crown a CGS Imaging 4 Crown champ. Michael Self now leads those standings by 1 point.
Awfully close for the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship.
Entry into turn number 1. He got high into that entry. That could be the CGS Imaging move of the year, because right now, Michael Self's back in control of the points of that 4-race series. The Daytona Road Course, Memphis, Michigan Superspeedway, and here today will crown a CGS Imaging 4 Crown champ. Michael Self now leads those standings by 1 point.
Awfully close for the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship, as well as the overall ARCA Menards Series Championship. Michael Self trying to become a champion today. Right now he's in great position to do it in the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship. He won at Daytona. Will he win the championship here today? Things are heating up in Springfield, Illinois with the ARCA Menards Series Allen Crow 100. Brett Holmes stalking leader and race dominator Ryan Unzicker, and Corey Heim climbing into the fray as well. I'm Bob Dillner, Jim Trado alongside Dave Reeve down in the pits, and this is getting interesting.
15 laps to go. Unzicker has only 2 car lengths, and he better keep that left front headlight taped to that inside guardrail all the way through the corner, because Brett Holmes is there. That's his crew chief, Shane Huppman.
Shane Huffman, not a dirt track racer. His son, by the way, is. And
Landon's kicking butt, yeah.
Landon is very good in karting action all over the Southeast. But right now he's watching. Shane Huffman is his driver, really close in on the 24. This is the best opportunity Brett Holmes has had to go after the lead in quite some time. Dave Reef?
Bill, he's not only watching the 24, trying to figure out that gap and making sure that that gap between the 23 and the 20 remains the same. He got on the racing electronic scanner and says, we got to get up and go. That 20 is coming, and that 20 is there right now.
Well, right now, Brett Holmes also has to look at his rear view mirror. He might be able to see out of that better than the front windshield with the dirt here today. But Corey Heim strong again late in the going at Springfield.
And Heim is here for the win, no question. It's only his second time in this car this season. He's trying to impress Toyota to get him more drives. And there he goes, bumping Holmes now for turn 4 for the spot.
Corey Heim trying to knock Brett Holmes out of the way for second. Heim's got the position because he has the preferred line. And now Corey Heim, you better look out, Ryan Unzicker. You got a hungry driver there in second.
Marietta, Georgia is where he's from, and he's starting to try to put the moves on here. Only had a 7-race deal at the start of the year with Toyota, with the ARCA East and ARCA Menards series with Venturini Motorsports.
And by the way, to your point at the top of the show, 7 times Holmes itself have actually finished within one spot of each other. Well, they're in one spot within each other again. Here is the Auto Park It replay of Heim to the inside. A little contact to set that up. And then he just gets the line in turn number 1. So Corey Heim to second.
And Holmes had to give that spot. And Holmes was not prepared enough to do the same to Unzinger. He couldn't close in on the race leaders. So now it's Heim's turn. Heim, as Dave Reef and Bob Dillner both pointed out, he's
of Heim to the inside, a little contact to set that up, and then he just gets the line in turn number 1. So Corey Heim to second.
And Holmes had to give that spot. And Holmes was not prepared enough to do the same to Unzinger. He couldn't close in on the race leaders. So now it's Heim's turn. Heim, as Dave Reef and Bob Dillner both pointed out, he's a faster race car. So for Brett Holmes to let him squeak past, give him a little bit of room. Oh, you're bumping me to get me out of the way? All right, we'll see what you got. Brett may want to return the favor here in these final dozen laps or so.
After this race, only one more race to go in the ARCA Menards Series season to settle the score for the overall championship. But also, several individual and special awards are on the line as well. Although Sam Mayer has already clinched the Sioux Chief Showdown, and Ty Gibbs has clinched quite a few.
Yep, Ty Gibbs is the Valvoline lap leader. He already won the General Tire Pole Award on a tiebreaker. He's led a ton of laps this year, including the most at halfway. He picked that up as well. More awards will be done at season's end, but we're getting down to it. And Haley Deegan might indeed be crowned our Bounty Rookie Challenge winner after the October 16th race at Kansas.
Ty Gibbs, his crew chief, Mark McFarland, has already clinched the Cometic Crew Chief of the Year award. So that team, stellar year. Now 10 laps to go in this one, and Corey Heim is charging hard.
If I'm a Brett Holmes fan, I'm at the edge of my chair going, go ahead, boys, get after it. Get into each other. Make this work. Come on, give my guy a chance. Right behind Brett Holmes, though, is our points nemesis. He sees it in the mirror all the time. Michael Self is now closing in 4th position behind this great battle for the lead.
I think we might have some contact before all is said and done at Springfield today. Although Corey Heim loses with that aggressive, approach to turn 3 and 4 right there. He lost a little bit of a ground to Ryan Unzicker. Unzicker, I mentioned him earlier. He's had a tough year. Good finishes, but because of bad luck and misfortune on the dirt tracks in the dirt late model ranks, he has not gotten the victories that he had over the last several years. This could make 2020 all that much better. Although Corey Heim loses with that aggressive, approach to turn 3 and 4 right there. He lost a little bit of a ground to Ryan Unzicker. Unzicker, I mentioned him earlier. He's had a tough year. Good finishes, but because of bad luck and misfortune on the dirt tracks in the dirt late model ranks, he has not gotten the victories that he had over the last several years. This could make 2020 all that much better today.
It'll be rosy for Bill Hendren, I can tell you that, as he's put a lot of time and effort in this one race car. You heard him talk about, I needed a car that wasn't going to get lapped. I wanted to get on the same page as everybody else. And this is the 11th time at Springfield that Ryan Unzicker's driven for Bill Hendren. and this is their best chance to win, and what Bill has said is their best race car in the 46 straight years Bill's been coming here.
Did Corey Heim push too hard? Did he burn up his stuff?
There could be two reasons for that. He wanted to get ahead of Brett Holmes because his teammate is this number 25 of Michael Self. In the big picture, Venturini Motorsports has 3 or 4 cars a race. Brett Holmes is a single car effort. If you get one spot away from Brett Holmes, it's one to the better for the overall team outlook for Michael Self and his quest for his first championship. So by Corey pushing the envelope, he might have burned it up for that purpose, thinking he had a better car than Unzinger. But I think Unzinger might have been sitting back a little bit saying, this is all I need to do to keep the lead.
Corey Heim is our Cannon Filters hard charger of the race so far, the biggest mover up 6 spots. By the way, that onboard look for Michael Self, incredible, because I'm looking through that windshield trying to figure out where he sees the racetrack.
Do not put Windex on your flat screen at home, people. We are having the same issue you do. We're on our monitors here high above in this covered grandstand. We're watching this awesome race play out with you. And it is a challenge as you see the sun really knocking these drivers square in the eyeballs almost all the way around the racetrack, it looks like, with that glare bouncing off the inside and outside of their windshields. All that dirt covering both sides.
Oh, caution coming out here now with 6 laps to go. That'll set up an interesting scenario, and it's for Kelly Kovsky. Damage to the front end on the left front of that machine. He was running 7th.
Bad break for the dirt track ringer, Kelly Kovsky. Hometown driver. That damage on the right front nose, I think, might have even come in practice and then reared its ugly head again. The flaps are up. That means he went around. Those hood flaps are there to holding the car on high-speed tracks. That body has been made to run not just on the dirt track. So as he spun around here, it changes the complexion immediately because now we can see our championship leaders have one more crack at this championship to race to a win and those 3 extra points.
Not just the championship. Brett Holmes has a good shot at the victory. He'll be lining up on the inside of that second row. Corey Heim will most likely be on the outside. If Brett Holmes can fill that hole, he's got a shot not just at extending his points lead in the overall title fight, but also the victory today.
So Brett Holmes, imagine this. He has to start inside row 2. He has to get a really good chance at passing Unzinger by turn 2. That might happen with a little nudge going into the corner. He also has to keep Michael Self to his outside and behind him on this restart, because if Self somehow finds a gap between the nose of Holmes and the car on the inside ahead, you better know that Self is coming to fill that hole. And if Michael Self is able to pull ahead of Brett Holmes here, that could be a big difference on this restart.
And Michael Self's fate really lies in the hands of his teammate as well, Corey Heim, who will, again, most likely line up on the outside of the front row. Ryan Unzicker's got the choice of
the nose of Holmes and the car on the inside ahead. You better know that Self is coming to fill that hole. And if Michael Self is able to pull ahead of Brett Holmes here, that could be a big difference on this restart.
And Michael Self's fate really lies in the hands of his teammate as well, Corey Heim, who will, again, most likely line up on the outside of the front row. Ryan Unzicker's got the choice of lane preference. But that 20 car, if he doesn't get a good start, it could allow Haley Deegan to get by Michael Self, and another point would be wasted in the championship run. So many things playing out here, Dave Reef.
That's right, guys. Corey Heim may be the fly in the ointment for this entire thing. Again, it's Kevin Reed Jr. on top of the box calling the shots instead of Billy Venturini, who's, of course, here assisting. But in conversation with them, they say to Corey time and again, we know you're tight when you get to the bumper of the 24, but your best part of this racetrack is at about the 5/8 mile mark. So he says, do your best on this restart to be near his back bumper as you come out of 3 and 4 on this first lap going green. If you're there, you can take him down the front stretch and through turns 1 and 2. That's their plan, the 20, trying to shake up this race.
We'll go green next time by. Ryan Unzicker has had to live through a bunch of restarts today, and it's been neat to see Ryan Unzicker. We follow all each other through Facebook and so forth, and Unzicker has had his son with him at several races this year, and his son is doing the schooling online, so he's in the motorhome and, you know, making sure his schoolwork is done. Nice family atmosphere for Ryan Unzicker.
And the great thing about it is we know that these racers want to race together. We mentioned Landon Huffman and his dad, Shane, and Shane's been so busy career chiefing Brett Holmes' effort. Kelly Koski's been running a ton with his son on quarter midgets. So in terms of getting that experience and going around racing, it's great to see those guys with Kelly and his son, Cody, doing a lot of quarter midget racing as well as they continue on these family traditions.
Wonder if Ryan Unzicker is going to do one of the old dirt track restarts here, push him up high and get the run down on the bottom.
He's going to keep him slowed up. He's got to do it perfectly, though, because I think Heim is going to be right there the whole time down the front stretch.
He's trying to put those right tires.
Get up in the muddy stuff, boys. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. Let's. This is it. This is what we're paying for right here. This restart.
A 3-lap shootout in the Allen Crow 100 for the ARCA Menards series at Springfield. They stand on it off of 4. Contact between the 20 of Heim and the 24 of Unzicker.
Holmes is going around. Holy cow.
Brett Holmes, the point leader, spins at Springfield, and Michael Self goes along with him.
So desperately did they want to get position on the inside rail behind Unzicker. It cost them this. It cost them nearly everything. Brett Holmes spinning around, trying to get traction, moving up the racetrack as he was not able to hold that bottom rail in the second row inside.
And the wild card in all of this was Corey Heim. We'll be taking a look at this in just a second, but there sits the Illinois Truck and Equipment number 25 for Michael Self. Completely broken on the front end, 3 laps shy of the checkered flag. So while Brett Holmes was also involved, he escapes almost unscathed, while the second place points man, Michael Self, has all sorts of trouble. Let's take a look at the Auto Park It replay of what happened, and I think you're going to see it was triggered by the 20 of Corey Heim. There's the contact between he and Unzicker, and then Heim gets into turn 1 really hot. Watch him get sideways, and the rest is history.
Brett Holmes right front, though, might have nicked Heim's car, because why would he go around otherwise, Bob? This is crazy out. It all converged here in turn number 1. I want to say that was Heim getting sideways, Brett Holmes maybe even overcooking the entry into turn 1. One little ding on the right front tire of Holmes sent him around, and that's what caused further dilemmas for the rest of these field.
Bad outcome today, Dave Reef, for Michael Self.
Insult to injury, the 25 car.
I want to say that was Heim getting sideways, Brett Holmes maybe even overcooking the entry into turn 1. One little ding on the right front tire of Holmes sent him around, and that's what caused further dilemmas for the rest of these field.
Bad outcome today, Dave Reef, for Michael Self.
Insult to injury, the 25 car will not turn over in the corner. As we get down to a race, we'll have a green-white checkered finish. This could be a big-time problem for Team 25.
Let's check this out, the restart one more time to see what happened. Corey Heim and Unzicker, they'll make contact here. Right there. Heim comes down the racetrack a little bit. Watch the 23. Does he make contact with the 20 going into the corner?
Look at the right front going in the corner. Gets pinched down here.
There is contact there between the 23 of Brett Holmes and the 20 of Corey Heim.
That's a long way up the racetrack for Michael Self and both Corey Heim to slide up into the wall. There's a lot of speed they were carrying into that first corner.
We are now under red flag conditions. There is Corey Heim. He appears to be okay. The 25 of Michael Self would not refire. The championship picture changing dramatically in Springfield, Illinois today for both Michael Self and Brett Holmes. The drama building in the race for the championship for the ARCA Menards series. The 25 of Michael Self. His car appears to be done for the day. Second in points to Brett Holmes. And here's what happened in Springfield, Illinois. 3 laps to go, a restart. Corey Heim on the outside of Ryan Unzicker, the leader in that blue car. They make contact, but watch the point leader, that white and blue number 23, a little contact with Corey Heim in the 20, and that set off a wild mishap in turn 1.
A lot of cars couldn't see a single thing. Taylor Gray dirt tracking through there, but Michael Self and Corey Heim were in a big tangle. One more look here. It's a new look for us. Going through the corner. Look how out of shape Holmes is for the longest time. And Heim spins up literally in front of his teammate after the 25 of Self really gets into the fence by himself there. Wow.
One more look at it here.
Single thing. Taylor Gray dirt tracking through there, but Michael Self and Corey Heim were in a big tangle. One more look here. It's a new look for us. Going through the corner. Look how out of shape Holmes is for the longest time. And Heim spins up literally in front of his teammate after the 25 of Self really gets into the fence by himself there. Wow.
One more look at it here. This is from Michael Self's machine. You could barely see it because of all the dirt down there. I don't think Self got into Holmes. I think that happened. A little contact after the initial cars getting sideways in front of him, but that was a big lick between he and Corey Heim.
And out of the momentum going into the corner, Michael Self, even with one little ding, as fast as they were going into turn number one, his car went sailing towards the wall. There was no question he was up in the loose stuff. Crazy, crazy turn of events here.
Wow. What a turn of events for Michael Self, who had overcome so much here today to be running in the top 5. Had the point leader within his sights trying to win this CGS Imaging 4-Crown Championship.
And it comes down to getting the right luck, get the right position. I mean, it takes 4 races. Your best finish is your point total. And it came down to 3 positions into this one to determine who's going to win that CGS 4-Crown. And there goes Michael Self.
Events for Michael Self, who had overcome so much here today to be running in the top 5. Had the point leader within his sights trying to win this CGS Imaging 4-Crown Championship.
And it comes down to getting the right luck, get the right position. I mean, it takes 4 races. Your best finish is your point total. And it came down to 3 positions into this one to determine who's going to win that CGS 4-Crown. And there goes Michael Self's chance, I think, at winning the CGS 4-Crown. It could be his last chance to see his hopes for a championship go away with 1 race to go in the season.
The CGS Imaging 4-Crown Championship, one of the coveted championships in ARCA racing. Round 1 winner, that 18 for Riley Herbst. Then Michael Self won at Daytona. And last week, it was Ty Gibbs in the 18. Brett Holmes trying to go back-to-back with that championship this year.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. General Tire, anywhere is possible. And by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
This will be the 3rd straight overtime to settle Springfield. 3 consecutive years, 3 overtime periods. It shows you the drama that you see at the end of the race on dirt in ARCA.
Haley Deegan has the honors of starting outside Ryan Unzinger in that blue number 24. I'd like to see how far Brett Holmes can get here. He lines up inside row number 3. Remember, he spun and continued, but he's sitting right now in the 5th position on this final restart, or could be the final restart here in overtime.
Michael Field, 3 consecutive years, 3 overtime periods. It shows you the drama that you see at the end of the race on dirt in ARCA.
Haley Deegan has the honors of starting outside Ryan Unzinger in that blue number 24. I'd like to see how far Brett Holmes can get here. He lines up inside row number 3. Remember, he spun and continued, but he's sitting right now in the 5th position on this final restart, or could be the final restart here in overtime.
Michael Self, 2nd in points, out of the race. The 23, the point leader, Brett Holmes, lines up 5th on this restart. It's a green-white checker to settle the score at Springfield on the dirt for the ARCA Menards series. Here comes Kovsky. He tries to get to the inside of Deegan. Deegan closes the door. Deegan trying to match her best finish of the year at Daytona to start the season.
Taylor Gray's doing a nice job hanging in there himself without that left front fender since lap 1. Great charge on the outside for that youngster in car number 17.
Brett Holmes picks up 1 spot on that restart. He's up to 4th and now stalking the 16 of Kelly Kovsky. Here he comes. Here comes Brett Holmes. He wants another position. It's another point. White flag is out for Ryan Unzicker.
Kovsky's trying to close the door. Remember, he's here to support all his sponsors that came on board. Checkered Farms have been around for a long time helping Kelly Kovsky. They're still banging off a turn 2.
Oh, Nelly, look out. Brett Holmes now up to 3rd. Kovsky under fire. Taylor Gray to his inside. Gray and Drew Dollar going to get by that 16. Knocks Kovsky out of the top 5. But how about this? Ryan Unzicker lives just about an hour from here, and he will win his first on the dirt in ARCA. Pure domination on the dirt for the driver from El Paso, Illinois. Incredible performance. And Brett Holmes will be crowned the CGS Imaging 4-crown champion for the second straight year.
Just an amazing afternoon of racing here. We know by coming here late October, mid-October, we're finding ourselves in a different weather condition. We've always coming here on a hot Saturday or Sunday afternoon in August. This schedule played right into the favor of the guys who loved it on the dirt and the gals. Look at this, Haley Deegan matching her career best finish in second. And that nose tells you one thing, she was going after it. That was after the last restart, that bottom valance area. She literally broke that thing off, trying to get that lead away from Unzicker on the final restart.
Listen to the crowd today for Ryan Unzicker. They're excited for him to win. And he's excited too. Unzicker with some donuts on the front stretch at Springfield. They're excited for him to win. And he's excited too. Unzicker with some donuts on the front stretch at Springfield. This shows you, even though the ARCA Menards Series has its regulars, its national championship title contenders, even the short trackers around America can still come to the ARCA Menards Series, do battle, and win.
If you have the chance and the fortitude to get together an ARCA Menards Series team, there is opportunities. We see that even Victory Motorsports has a car that they share among several drivers. This team went out and bought a car that Sheldon Creed and last year Mike Bursley had for Carson Hocevar and said, we want to build this car just right. We saw how strong it was on the dirt. They acquired the car, went to work. This local team, this hometown team, has gone now to Victory Lane here in Springfield, Illinois.
I'm sure Bill Hendren might be a little bit more talkative than he was with Dave Reef a little bit earlier during the race. Ryan Unzicker, his helmet coming off. Dave Reef, this is going to be a memorable moment in Victory Lane at Springfield for the ARCA Menards Series for Ryan Unzicker.
Well, what do you say we bring him out of the car, Springfield? How about your hometown boy picking up that ARCA Menards Series win? He's getting ready to climb out right now, but you got to let him hear it. It's Ryan Unzicker climbing out, and he will find his way to Victory Lane here, taking a moment just to kind of soak it all in, if you will, and why not? Now the hat is on, the General Tire scarf about to go on, the General Tire banner here just about to blow away. It's still pretty breezy, still pretty chilly here on the front stretch, but you had one hot driver today that dominated all 100 of these laps on the Springfield Mile. And now he's ready to soak in all of that adoration. Ryan, come on out. You've just won here at Springfield. Let him hear it, Springfield. Got to be careful with that brand new race car. Can't climb on the roof. That thing's a perfect 1-for-1 here. As finally, in his 11th time racing for Bill Hendren, able to pick up that win. Well, you blew everyone away, including that ARCA Menards winners banner right behind us. But Ryan, we talked down here just a moment ago at the start of this race. You had just qualified for the pole. You knew you had a good race car. Charles Kroll from ARCA Menards Series was talking with you about it. You said, you know what? I think we can lead all 100 laps today. What does this moment mean for you?
Well, thank you. The moment means the world to all of our team. First and foremost, we lost a couple people in our racing family here a few months ago, and that meant the world to everybody. And one was our crew member, Joshua Gramble. He's the son of our spotter, and Brian and Lisa Smith. And I tell you what, to get one for him, means the world to us and, the whole team. And then we also lost another one in a car wreck a few months back as well. Morgan, 156, she's in our thoughts and prayers as well. So, to lead all 100 laps here at the Springfield Mile, I don't even know what to say yet, but I'm very proud of my team, and I'm very glad we got this new race car.
This young man. Who's this young man?
That's my son, Brody.
Hey, Brody, soak it in with your dad. You just won here at Springfield in the ARCA Menards Series.
Those smiles will be on those faces for a long time. Ryan Unzicker picks up his first career ARCA Menards Series win. Haley Deegan matches her best finish of the year, Daytona to start the season, and here today at Springfield. Brett Holmes in third. Taylor Gray, another top 5 run. Who would have thunk that after that first lap mishap? And Kelly Kowski, one better than last year. He's back into the top 5. Mike Basham, what a good run for him. The independent runner gets a top 6 run.
Career best finish for Mike Basham to Andy Hillenberg. Congrats, Andy Hillenberg. Grandpa Andy. His daughter Ashley gave birth to a baby boy a couple weeks ago. Great time to celebrate with Mike Basham after this great 6th place run. Nice job by Drew Dollar. He lost a few points in the Bounty Rookie Challenge to Haley Deegan, but he recovered to finish 7th.
Michael Self, circle that 9th place run for Michael Self, because that will have a profound effect on his championship quest. They go into Kansas in a couple of weeks, and right now Michael Self finds himself 8 markers behind Brett Holmes in the battle for the championship of the ARCA Menards Series. Well, Brett Holmes still leads the championship going into the finale, but he's also a champion today of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown, and he's with Dave Reef.
Well, Brett, I'm not sure what your bucket list looks like, but you can check off CGS 4 Crown Imaging. You also gained some points in the overall points race. So what does this day at Springfield mean after what was a truly unforgettable race?
Yeah, I mean, it was hectic to say the least. Yeah, it's cool to win that, and I hate what happened there on that last restart. I don't know what happened. I mean, I'm tied on the guardrail, and next thing I know, I'm shoved up to the outside. So I'll have to go back and look at it. But I tried to stay. I was staying as clean as possible there, and my guys brought a great car today, man. This is the best dirt car I've had, and just the track the way it was, and just never could keep a run going enough to get a good run on the 24. We got really close there before the second break, but it's cool to see a first-time winner. So that's congrats to him, and just the goal. Go back and look at it, but I tried to stay. I was staying as clean as possible there, and my guys brought a great car today, man. This is the best dirt car I've had, and just the track the way it was, and just never could keep a run going enough to get a good run on the 24. We got really close there before the second break, but it's cool to see a first-time winner. So that's congrats to him, and just the goal today was to win the race. So I hate we couldn't do that, but to come out with a top 3 after it being this hectic of a race is a good job.
Even a bigger points lead when it's all said and done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Brett Holmes, now a 2-time champion of the CGS Imaging 4 Crown, and now a point leader by 8 points going into the finale in a couple of weeks at Kansas.
And Brett Holmes won 1 race this year, our first trip to Kansas Speedway, the 1.5 mile. He dominated that race. That car's been tucked away. They're rubbing on it right now in the shop, ready for Kansas with Brett Holmes winning race car for midsummer. He's ready to battle Michael Self to the end.
Never miss a race. Go to mavtv.com/set reminder and receive a calendar reminder just minutes before each and every airing of your favorite racing series. This one had plenty of drama, Jim.
Unbelievable racing. Ryan Unzinger from the pole never did it wrong. He never got the wheel wrong. Never got a jump on the restart on him. He was perfect today.
For Dave Reef, Jim Trado, and everybody at Lucas Oil Production Studios, I'm Bob Dillner saying thanks for watching. Ryan Unzicker, dreams do come true. He is now an ARCA Menards Series winner.